meeting to order. Could we please stand for a pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. For the record, this is a public meeting of the Bayonne Board of Education. It is 6:05, the 27th day of July, and we're in the Alexander O'Connor Auditorium. The presiding officer is Maria Villado, our president of our Bayonne Board of Education. Those in attendance include Mr. John J. Neese, our superintendent of schools, Mr. Kenneth Kopaz, our assistant superintendent for personnel, Ms. Jennifer Vecchiarelli, our assistant superintendent for special services, Dr. Gary Mader, the board secretary, Mr. Daniel Castles, our school business administrator, Mr. Thomas Fagu Jr., our assistant school business administrator, Dr. Dennis Degnan, our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, and Mr. Philip Lamparello, Esquire, our board counsel. The meeting's open to the public. I'll take a roll call. Trustee Burke.
Here.
Trustee Cassius.
Here.
Trustee Egan.
Here.
Trustee Sclafane.
Here.
Trustee Watson.
Here.
Trustee Wilbeck.
Here.
Vice President Munoz.
Here.
And President Villado.
Here.
For the record, adequate written advance notice of at least 48 hours giving the time, date, and location of this meeting with the agenda was provided as follows. Notice was promptly posted in City Hall at 630 Avenue C on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements of the Board of Education. The board secretary sent notice to the Jersey Journal and Bayonne Community News. The notice was filed with the municipal clerk of the City of Bayonne, Ms. Medina.
Do you want to do that before we start? You want to do that?
Ladies and gentlemen, as everyone knows, we lost an important member of our Bayonne Board of Education family. Trustee Ava Finnerty was one of us. She was a member of this family. She was a member of this community. She devoted many years of her life to education, and even to her final moment, she was thinking about this Board of Education and going about the business of the Board of Ed. She will truly be missed, and at this time, I would like to have a moment of silence for Trustee Finnerty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll start with our agenda, which is our approval of the minutes and our acceptance of communications. All our minutes, communications, and resolutions are on our bulletin board, if anybody didn't have a chance to see them. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Vice President Munoz and a second from Trustee Egan. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes.
Trustee Egan?
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane?
Yes.
Trustee Watson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
Next up on our consent agenda would be our curriculum, instruction, and policies. And that is resolutions A1 through A25. I make a notice of resolution A25 as a change of meeting date for our meeting in September, which is being moved to a Wednesday from the Tuesday. And our times are going to be open workshop is going back to 6 p.m. and our public meeting is going back to 7. So do I have a motion on our curriculum?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Trustee Wilbeck and a second.
Second.
And a second from Trustee Sclafane. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane,
Yes.
Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
Vice President Munoz,
Yes.
President Villado,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, Mr. Woods, I think I missed you on this. You had a question in regards to the board policy 6144, and that's on resolution A1. It is the last policy listed, controversial issue.
Good evening, everyone. At the last board meeting, there was talk about a change in several of the board policies and that they're going to be listed online, so it makes it easier, obviously, for everybody to access them. The one policy, as we were going through them, when we received them after the board meeting, one of the policies that struck our association was board policy 6144, which addresses controversial issues. And I know I'm going to go through a couple of questions that we have. I know they cannot be answered tonight, but what we are going to ask is that this particular board policy gets tabled tonight for some discussion, and we, as the Bayonne Education Association, provided some recommendations for the possible changing and addition of the language to it. So, based on the recent revisions on policy 6144, controversial issues, we, the Bayonne Education Association, deemed it necessary to ask several questions about the revision, and we offer our own amendments which reflect the mission statement of the Bayonne School District and will be beneficial to both students and staff. Our first question. In the third paragraph, it states, classroom discussions on controversial questions which arise unexpectedly shall be the responsibility of the teacher, who shall provide relevant information on both sides of the question. So we needed some clarification in that, and we asked for an explanation in detail of what this means for our staff. Because if you go back to 2014, when the Common Core curriculum standards were initiated in the U.S., there was some controversy that arose in the Rialto Unified School District in California. In that school district, they asked their students to write an essay confirming or denying the credibility of the Holocaust, and asking their students to put into question whether or not the Holocaust was used as a propaganda tool, and I'm quoting from the actual essay, asking them to confirm or deny that the Holocaust was used as a propaganda tool that would be used for political and monetary gain by the Jewish people. So that's when you run into a huge issue of what does that mean by presenting both sides? Because when it comes to the Holocaust, there are no two sides, right? And there are other issues that are out there, but the Holocaust is like that prime one. You can't have two sides or an opportunity to debate the reality of the Holocaust. So that's what we were taking a look at. Number two, in the fourth paragraph, letter D, it states such discussions shall not present at any one opinion as being definitive. So I asked, and we asked, please for specification on what this means, because right now, where we stand in our country, there is a blurring of the lines between fact and opinion. And some of the lies that have been promoted have been said so frequently that they have been turned to fact by some groups and individuals. So we're just looking for that.
Sorry, but we're past our 3 minutes, but in relation to what you're speaking about, I've been asked to retake a vote. We'd like to go back to resolution A1. We're going to table that. Also. You're past your 3 minutes, but I'll stop you. We're going to go back to our resolutions in the A category, particularly A1. We're going to table 6144 for this evening, and then we're going to retake the vote.
Okay, so question. So this was as the union, so we have been limited?
Well, I would suggest that you reach out between now and the next meeting and see if we can come to some sort of understanding with 6144.
I'll be sending it back to council
Okay,
for review
yeah.
of the language that you mentioned.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I'm just checking right now, because you just said my 3 minutes were up, so has the president's time at the podium been limited?
No.
Well,
Okay.
we're talking about one resolution, which
Okay.
I think the board is going to address your issue.
Got it. I just wanted to check.
And you could set up a separate appointment.
Got it.
And put whatever feedback you need to put into this.
And we'll set up a schedule with our council, yourself and
Yep.
us, so that we can revisit the language in that,
Great.
that we can all come to an accord.
All right.
So that everyone
you.
understands what we're doing, we're taking Resolution A1, and we're tabling the last policy that was listed on that long resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm
And
revoting.
Your time is not.
Mr. Woods,
untouched.
you're going to provide us with your comments to send to the, perfect.
Great. So I'm going to ask Trustee Wilbeck, would you remotion the consent agenda? Make a motion, Dennis? Motion on the agenda? And Jan, I'm sorry, Pam?
We'll make a motion.
Trustee Sclafane? All right, so I have a motion and a second.
I have a motion to move it forward.
You got it. So on that motion and second, Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Cassius?
Yes. Okay.
Trustee Egan?
Yes, yes.
Trustee Sclafane? Trustee Watson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck?
Yes.
Vice President Munoz?
Yes.
President Villado?
Yes.
Okay, that concludes curriculum. Move on to finance. And that would consist of resolutions B1 through B25. Do I have a motion?
I'll move B1 through B25.
Motion from Trustee Egan, the move. And a
Second.
second from Vice President Munoz.
I will second that motion.
Great. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane,
Yes.
Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
Vice President Munoz,
Yes.
President Villado.
Yes.
Next up is our personnel, resolutions C1 to C47. Resolution C38 is being tabled. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Trustee Burke, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Trustee Cassius. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane,
Yes.
Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
President Munoz, Vice President Munoz,
Yes.
and President Villado.
Yes.
Great. Next up is our non-consent portion. There are two resolutions. Resolution D1, be it hereby resolved that the attached memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education of the City of Bayonne and Local 2251 AFSCME, New Jersey Council 63, covering a period from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025. Be and the same are hereby approved. Be it further resolved that the board president, secretary are authorized to execute the said agreement in the name and on behalf of this board. Be it further resolved that the school business administrator of this board is hereby authorized to take the necessary action to implement the terms of this agreement. Foregoing resolution is effective immediately. The resolution with the backup D1 is on our bulletin board. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Motion by President Villado and a second.
I'll second.
Second by Vice President Munoz. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane,
Yes.
Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
Vice President Munoz.
Yeah, but before I vote, I just want to say I would like to commend Trustee Cassius, Egan, and Burke for doing such a tremendous job on our negotiating team. I think we're all settled up with every major unit in the Board of Ed, so that's a great thing, and that hasn't happened for a while, so good job to you guys, and I proudly vote yes.
And our final vote, President Villado.
Yes, I'm happy that finally all our contracts are completed and everyone is working with an up-to-date contract. So yes, I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So that passes. Resolution D2, whereas personnel being assigned to the pre-kindergarten parent workshops. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Motion from trustee Burke, and I have a second.
I'll second it.
Second from trustee Cassius. So that motion and second, trustee Burke,
Yes.
trustee Cassius,
Yes.
trustee Egan,
Yes.
trustee Sclafane,
Abstain.
trustee Watson,
Yes.
trustee Wilbeck,
Yes.
vice president Munoz,
Yes.
president Bellato.
Yes.
President, that is all I have for this evening, but I do have 2 cards. Save that to the end. So I'm going to ask Ms. Lisa Downey, 101 West 41st Street, has a question in regards to school uniforms.
Hi, I guess you saw my correspondence. I'm just trying to follow up, see how we can open a discussion about how to perhaps modify the school uniform policy so that parents can spend our
We-
money where we choose, perhaps
One
save
sec.
money.
I think you have to go a little closer with the mic. I'm going to let you start over. We're good? We can't hear it.
We can hear. We can.
Is that better? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Thank you.
That's perfect.
Okay, so, well, I assume you saw my correspondence. I'm just trying to open a discussion about how parents, we can perhaps modify the uniform policy so parents are not forced to spend our money at specific stores, maybe save some money or at least give us choices where we want to shop. There's other points, obviously, in my correspondence, this time being where so many are facing financial challenges. And the school is even providing free lunch to make sure people are fed. So I don't really get how it's reasonable then to expect those same families to be spending, paying premium prices at these uniform stores. Some families can only afford one shirt for their kids. And these kids go to school in, unfortunately, dirty, torn, worn out shirts. It's 2 sets of clothing for families that we shouldn't have to do. So I'm just looking to open a discussion. There's obviously overwhelming, I know you monitor some social media, it's not an isolated incident of people there's just a few people that want to see changes. So how can we do that?
I'll ask the superintendent to address your concern, since that is under his domain, the enforcement of a uniform. Superintendent?
No,
Asking about uniform policy?
So the complaint is that the uniforms are too expensive?
It's not a complaint, it's a concern that, number
Okay.
one, it's a free public school education. So this should be about education, not what the kids are wearing. So it's that, number one, we should be encouraging kids to express themselves through the way they look, not telling them they're only going to be accepted if they look like everyone else or if they dress like everyone else. We should be embracing their individuality, not telling them you have to be the same. As for the cost, whether or not people can afford to shop in the uniform stores, I don't know where the Board of Ed gets the right actually to tell us where we need to shop in order to send our kids to a public school.
Okay.
We will review your concerns as a board and see if there are alternative uniform stores we could work with or see cost in any other way. It's what you brought to us. We will open up the discussion and see what we can do to adjust.
And how will that, so how would we parents, we families find out what discussions are being had?
We will notify you, the superintendent will notify, sending a letter out, what stores we will be working with and what uniform the students will have to wear.
I mean, I also received a response from the Business Administration Office, which I didn't really understand, but it had to do with state funding and budgeting, and which made me wonder if any of the school's budget is going toward paying the uniform stores.
To pay the uniform stores? No.
Yeah, I don't know why that paragraph was sent to me. I didn't understand it, but it had to do with state funding and school budget and choosing uniform stores. So the only thing I garnered from that was to question whether the uniform stores are being paid to provide the uniforms, in addition to being paid by us families to purchase the uniforms.
So I can answer that. The school district is not paying any of the vendors. There's no funding, but there was a question regarding purchasing laws in New Jersey. So that was addressing some of those purchasing laws. While they're not relevant to the uniform policy, that's the purchasing laws that the school has to abide by. However, we do not provide any funding to the local vendors.
Excuse me, Miss, can I address one of your other questions? You mentioned about individuality. I went to school when there were no uniforms, and the problem there was the children that couldn't afford the expensive Air Jordans and that couldn't dress in the expensive, stylish look, they were bullied. So the pressure of being individual when it comes to your attire at school became a problem, and that's why this uniforms came into being years ago. So that's something you might want to consider.
Okay, well, number one, the kids that can afford them are still wearing Air Jordans, whereas the other kids that can't aren't. And kids are still being bullied, unfortunately.
We've gone over 3 minutes. I think the president somewhat answered how our approach is going to be on the issue.
We'll have a discussion, and we will then notify parents of what other vendors we could add to adjust to the cost.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods, you're my last card.
So this is a little mixture of personal and BEA, so I will keep to the 3 minutes.
We collected them.
So like I said, it's a little mixture of BEA, but personal as well. So I'll just keep the 3 minutes. And it has to do with former teacher Ava Finnerty and also Mr. Arzulowicz. You know, they were great members, both of the former Bayonne Teachers Association, moved over to the new name, and they dedicated their life of service in this district. Personally, as a student here, I had them both my senior year. And I couldn't have asked for two better teachers to help transition me from leaving high school into college. Mr. Arzulowicz had to have been the kindest person that I have ever met. To be in a classroom with him, and Algebra 2 as a senior, and math, I struggled my whole entire life in school. I just couldn't get it, but fortunately, I had people like Barbara Shimshak and Miss Mullane and two others who had passed away now. And I just wanted to say so much more about them. I know it's a short time, but both Mrs. Finnerty and Mr. Arzulowicz did so much for the students here in Bayonne High School while they were here and when they left. And they are truly going to be missed by all the staff and by the students who had them. So I just wanted to get everybody, a little bit more aware about that. But again, Mr. Arzulowicz and Mrs. Finnerty, two of the top teachers that we had in this district, most compassionate, willing to work with students and do whatever they could to help them succeed. So unfortunately, they passed, and I hope that, we all remember them, and those who had them continue to hold on to them. So, thank you.
Madam President, that is all we have for this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice President Munoz to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
On that second, by Trustee Watson. On that motion and second, Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Cassius,
Yes.
Trustee Egan,
Yes.
Trustee Sclafane, Trustee Watson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilbeck, Vice President Munoz.
Yes.
President Villado. It is 6:31. Don't all run. I need some stuff signed. Yeah.